Hello everyone, I have another card kit to share from Spellbinders for January 2021 called Lucky Love. Let's jump right in on the first card. It's going to be landscape orientation. I'm using these lovely hearts pattern paper. I've got the measurements on the top of the screen for you. We're going to use a chipboard sticker and then the XO pattern paper as well, and the gold hearts. And we're gonna, for a lot of the cards, I like having just a little bit of the white border showing on the card backs, or the cards that the kit provides. I can't think of the word for it, but so let's lay down this strip of the XOs down in the bottom portion and trim off the excess. And for the gold strip, this time I used some like a full sheet of double-sided adhesive. I just put it on a large portion of the gold cardstock that comes in the kit, and then I cut them down into strips because I do like to use, 1/4 inch or 1/2 inch strips on my cards to differentiate between, say, two pattern papers like I'm doing on this card, and it made it a whole lot easier putting them on. Was just the adhesive was already on there, so I'm definitely going to do that in the future. So for these gold hearts, I believe, I can't remember who, maybe it was Cards and Coffee Time, but she mentioned peeling them off from the bottom. Definitely that was good advice, and that's what I did, and had an easy time getting them off, no tearing. And I'm going to tuck them underneath this chipboard sticker that says "Every Day I Love You More." And I just, used the adhesive. In other cards, I think I used a little wet glue just because of that glitter. But for this one, so far, it hasn't come off. I haven't really messed with it much. And that is card number 1. On to card number 2. Oh, I love the rainbow papers. I love colors, so that's my thing. And so we're going to use that pattern paper, and then some die cuts, and more of those gold stickers, and of course, another gold strip. This time it's a 1/2 inch gold strip. So let's put down the pattern paper, and I am also going to have that little white border around the edges, which I do like for a lot of the cards. Sometimes I don't do it. So this time my gold strip is going to go in a vertical orientation on my landscape card. Trim off a little bit of the excess because I like to save those scraps, but it's still longer than I need, and I just trim it off afterwards because I really struggle getting things straight. I think I was showing there, I was eyeballing it, but it does end up being about an inch in from the left side of the card there. So then I'm going to take this die cut that comes in the kit, the stripy heart, and I'm using it as a placeholder to tuck my gold glitter sparkly hearts. Well, one of them underneath, and the other one I end up putting on the top half. So I'm going to use some wet glue to put this down. And so I'm making a little visual cluster here with these elements. So I'm going to put the other gold heart there on the left. And then take this die cut, what is that? A triangular sentiment element. I'm going to put that coming across all 3 of those hearts, and then I'm going to take that So Blessed banner sentiment there and put it on to the pink one, and take the trio of little colored hearts and put there. And to finish off this card, I'm just going to do a little trio of sequins there in the bottom left corner. And that is it for card number 2. Pretty simple. Pretty flat, little dimension there with the sequence, that is. So card number 3 is going to be portrait, sort of vertical orientation. I'm going to use the clover pattern paper, another gold strip. We're going to take this die cut sentiment Lucky, and then some more chipboard stickers. There were 3 clovers, I believe, in the chipboard stickers, and also a die cut clover that came in the die cut pack, which is a gold one. And of course, some more sequins will feature in this card. So putting down this panel of the clovers, and it is maybe a little more than 2/3 of the front of the card. And I'm just leaving that white space, and then the gold really helps to kind of separate those two, especially since the paper adds just a slight bit of dimension. The gold just helps that transition, I think. Plus, I just love the little bit of sparkle that it adds, a little bit of glimmer, and yeah. So the Lucky, I've already put some mounting tape, the mounting squares that come in the kit, and every little scrap of it, cutting it off. And I'm going to use that and put it across all three of my surfaces here, the white, the clover, and the gold. And I am purposely kind of leaning it upwards. It's a sort of an optimistic thing to have it go upwards there, so I don't know. And so then I'm just using the adhesive that's on the chipboard sticker to place it down, and then adding some glue to the die cut clover. And I'm kind of strategically scattering them here below the Lucky. And the tiny little chipboard sticker, it had fallen off a couple times, so I added a little glue to its adhesive there, and I'm putting that onto the gold die cut. I'm going to take some wet glue and just add a couple spots here for some sequins. So I'm going to put one down in the bottom, the left side there, and then one right onto the chipboard clover. And then I'm going to do another little trio of sequins here on the top. So we have kind of a flow. The eye flows with the Lucky diagonally across the card there. And I fiddle with it a bit, but that is it for card number 3. Finally get them the way I like it, and there it is in all its glory. Pretty simple also, but you know, I had fun making the cards with this kit. This card number 4 is going to be more complicated because of course I got to do a shaker. I'm using the cardstock, which is kind of a pale pink, almost a peachy pink, and then I'm going to use the diagonal pink stripe paper also. And I will show you briefly how I made the shaker as we get through this card. Not sure what I was fiddling with there. So I thought I cut out all this empty space time, but I guess I missed something here. So yeah, now let's get on with the card here. Put it together there. I think this was a great kit for a lot of all occasion cards, or a variety of, you know, you have Valentine's, you have St. Patrick's Day. At first I wasn't sure I could get a lot of variety, but I really did get a lot of variety in the different cards that I made. So placing down this pattern paper here, the cardstock, the peachy cardstock, I covered the entire card front with, and then I'm just taking a strip of it and sort of in the bottom third of the card. So a visual artistic rule is the rule of thirds, and I try to stick to that. I learned that in photography class in high school, but yeah, it's visually pleasing, this breaking it up in odds also, odd numbers. So that's why it's not the rule of seconds, I guess. It's the rule of thirds, but yeah. And of course, another gold strip to tie those two together. Then we're going to take the stamp set, and then, okay, before we do the stamp set, let's make the shaper card. So I took this die cut that comes in the kit, and I'm going to use this fortune cookie pattern paper, which was really cute. I cut that down to, I believe, 2x2, but I had the measurements at the beginning. So taking the double-sided tape that comes in the kit, we're just going to layer it around this frame, this gold frame that comes in the kit. I don't know why I said that comes in the kit. You knew that. And then I've showed this before in other card videos, so if you've seen it, just skip ahead. But I'm using the packaging. This was actually the packaging that the dies came in, and my dies had escaped their packaging. They were just loose in the box, so really this packaging was unused almost. So I'm opening it up. I've already used it once for the first shaker that I made, and I'm just kind of halfway making another shaker to show you. So place that down carefully. I mean, you don't have to be too careful because I just trim off the excess here. I slip my scissors in there. These are my paper shears. I don't like using them on that, but I had them handy. And then another good thing to have is an anti-static bag, or, you know, baby powder, cornstarch. You can put that on the inside of that window. That way the shaker elements, the sequins, can move around more freely. It cuts down the static, and I found that helps a lot. So then I'm taking some mounting tape that I've already trimmed down. Mine's like a 1/4 inch, which is a little too thick, so I used a blade to cut it down, and line it around the edges there, and then fill your sequins in put the paper on the back, and there you go. So I kind of skipped the rest of that because you don't need to see all that. And that's how I made my little shaker element that I'm going to put onto this card. So right now I'm using it as a placeholder. I'm not gluing it down yet, but I want to know exactly where things are visually so I can get my stamps in the right place. So I'm lining up my stamps, and I'm using the Your and the So Lucky. And I'm just going to get them onto this acrylic block together. And I have some clear mark embossing, a little mini pad, but use whatever you have, a sticky ink. That one was just handy. And I'm going to place that down, move my little shaker element so I can get a good firm adhesion to the card. And this is my gold embossing powder. You know, this stuff is it's pretty old. I think it's like 18 years old. I've had it for a very long time, but it's still going great. And I like having it in this little container here because I don't need to use a paper to shake off the excess. I just do it right over it. And again, my old but useful embossing gun, it is also as old as that powder. And it works. It's still working great. I love a product that can last years and years of use. So I don't even know what brand this is, but some things are just made better than others. And my embossing heat tool has stood the test of time, singing its praises there. But so now let's put some double stick tape liner, whatever you call it, and place this down. A little bit fiddly, but that I want it kind of at an angle, give it a little shake. So now I'm going to take the fortune cookie die cuts that come in the kit, die cut, yeah. And I'm going to use a little bit of liquid glue. I've got some mounting tape on the back already. Going to use a little bit of wet glue on the other side, and I did need to add another one. So I'm going to place the smaller one just right on the corner there, and I'm going to nestle the larger one next to it, but not covering too much of my shaker window. So, and I believe it says meant to be, that the larger one, and then there's an XOXO on the smaller little cookie. And that's it for card number 4. I really like how that turned out. On to card number 5. Oh, this was one of my favorite pattern papers. Both of these, actually. And so we're going to use the floral pattern, and then we have a strip of the green heart pattern and a strip of the blue, as well as a couple die cuts, chipboard sticker. So I just, for ease, I mean, you could cut down this paper because it doesn't cover it gets covered up, but I just did the full card panel when I cut it out, and so that's the measurement I gave you, the 5.5 by 4 1/4. If you want to save some more of that, you can always trim it. And then the blue is 1 7/8 by 4 1/4, and it does cover up some of it, but you know, that was easier. Some of them I trimmed them, some of them I don't know why. So then we're going to take a strip of white, the white cardstock that comes in the kit, and use it to mount the back, to back the green heart. Not very articulate today, am I? But anyway, and then I'm placing that down just a little bit away from the edge, on the right edge there. It's a nice frame for my sentiment, which I have the die cut that says every day is a lucky day. I'm just going to use the tape runner to adhere that down. And for the other sentiment, I did include the measurements there because I did trim off the edges. I just kind of eyeballed it, but then I measured it there for you. So at the beginning of this card, you have the measurements of what that ended up being if you're interested, in order for it to fit in that little window of that other element. I trimmed it a bit. So then, of course, we need a little heart cluster, and I liked using the chipboard and the die cut because you have a little bit of variety of dimension there, as well as it's a slightly different finish on those hearts. They're both gold, but there's the chipboard heart is more of a satiny gold, and the flat die cut heart is more shiny. And I liked using them together like that. So I nestled the the shinier one just under the chipboard one, and then the tiny little heart circle. And that, it just, the colors go so well. I love that about this kit. So card number 6, I had an oopsie when I was playing around, and that's okay because I'm just going to end up covering it up. I did want to stamp directly on the card, or on the paper, but roll with it, you know? So we're using the Clover paper again, and the stamp set, and I brought in some Distress Oxide ink, not because Oxide's the best, but because that was the best matching color of all my inks. So, and actually I ended up using a few different Oxide inks, but yeah, they matched really well, the colors in this kit. So, if you have it, and of course, Lucky Clover. Could I resist? I mean, it's called Lucky Clover. But thankfully I had that green in my stash, and so used that for the stamping on this card. So I cut 4 squares out of the green heart pattern paper, and they are 1.5 inch squares. And I am just visually eyeballing this, but I believe it ends up being roughly a 1/2 inch to 5/8 of an inch away from the edges of the card. And then it's a much smaller gap in between the hearts is more like an 1/8 of an inch. So I was showing you that with the ruler there, but just gonna make a little cluster, almost like a window here in the top 2/3 of the card for my, it's like a like a little quartet of vignettes of the, and we're going to use the clover. The largest clover from the stamp set fits perfectly in my little 1 inch white squares. So, taking Lucky Clover to stamp the clover. Yes, it is a lovely fitting ink for that, isn't it? But if you don't have Lucky Clover, you know, whatever green works best that you have is great. I loved the, I don't know what to say. I loved how it fit. So, stamping all 4 of those cute little clovers, and then I think I'm just gonna use wet glue to adhere them, but first we're gonna take the other white strip that we've cut out of the cardstock, and I'm laying them out. Make sure your stamps are clean when you lay them out. That was the problem. My stamp was, I had just cleaned it, but it wasn't like clean, and I set it on the pattern paper and it had some inky residue. But, you know, I really like how this card turned out, so maybe I actually like it better than if I had stamped on the pattern paper in the first place. So it's so lucky, and then it says #grateful for you, and there was a thinner sentiment that comes in the stamp set, and so I'm stamping that down. And I'll show you this. Looks nice there. And then I just wasn't brave enough to do the tiny clover at the same time, so because I thought, you know, that's too many things to get straight at once, so I'm going to stamp it now. I wanted this little clover just kind of nestling behind, and I'm going to take the ends and fishtail it, so roughly center. You can measure if you're more comfortable with that, but I've just going with it. And to me, I don't mind if it looks, you know, a little less than perfect, because that adds to its handmade, handcrafted charm. So this one I'm going to nestle all the way over to the right, and just use the tape runner to adhere that down. And yes, now I'm using liquid glue to get these down. Now this liquid glue dries really fast, so I was thinking I'd have time to kind of adjust them if they were a little off, but thankfully they weren't too off, because by the time I got the 4th one down, they weren't moving. So yeah, and that's it for card number 6. Very cute. I like that. So card number 7, I'm going to use the triangle pattern paper and then this diamond pattern paper, and here I'm explaining how I get this angle with the measurements. So the one side is 3 inches long, the shorter side is 1 3/8, and then I made a little pencil mark and slipped it into my paper trimmer and just used the paper trimmer's straight edge to get it straight. You could draw a line if you want, but yeah. So we'll get those down, and the triangle one is in the top, and I end up covering some of it up, but this was just the easiest for me. And again, we need a gold strip. Yes, the gold strips have been very useful for me. This one, there's a little bit of excess, but that's, again, the easiest way for me to get it straight. So I do trim off that part I want to save. I don't know what I'll use that tiny scrap for, probably for some little embellishment, but I do save that, and then I just trim off the little bit of excess. So then we're going to take some die cuts that come in the kit, make it happen checklist, and place that down. It says, good luck, good vibes, good friends. And I'm going to make a little cluster here on the left side of the card. So then I am going to take the horseshoe, which I believe one person said, make sure it's pointing up to catch the luck or something. I didn't necessarily know that, but that makes sense. So, and then the sentiment Total Champ I've put on mounting tape, and I'm going to nestle it into the horseshoe. Hopefully that's okay, you know. And the hand with the fingers crossed. And then this sentiment says, you are amazing. I was thinking this would make a good, like, congratulations card, or a card that you give to someone who's, you know, going to take a test or something challenging. Anyway, it's pretty good all occasion, well, or many occasion. And that's it for card number 7. Card number 8 is one of my favorites. I don't know, maybe it's the little girl in me, but I just really, and I don't even love pink that much, but I love this pink in this card, and I love how it turned out. So we're going to use the darker pink, kind of the darker pink cardstock that comes in the kit. And that is, again, going to be just smaller than the card front, and I love how that has a little bit of white peeking out, because there's a lot of white in the elements of the card. And everything just matches so wonderfully. And this, I think, would be a great card for a young lady or a young girl. It's a birthday. I made it a birthday card. I just love it. So the hearts and the kind of graph paper, this reminded me, and it might even be the same pattern paper, of a kit a while back, like Unicorn Dream or something like that. That heart paper. So then we have the diagonal stripe. Right now I'm trying to show this sort of distressed, like, washed pattern. I don't know if it shows up on the camera, but it's kind of cool because it's not just a plain stripe. So trimming off the excess of my, yes, yet again, another gold strip. And then there's the sentiment, there is no one like you. It's got the gold accents, so this all these elements are playing very well together. And for the rainbow, that's the die cut. There is a chipboard sticker that's slightly smaller, but I went with the die cut. I put it up on mounting tape, and I'm gonna nestle it into my gold strip. It's kind of just coming out of the gold, and I really like how that looked. So then I'm using my anti-static powder bag and lining up the happy birthday sentiment. That's another thing. The stamp set comes with a variety of sentiments. I liked that. So doing the sticky ink on there, and I'm gonna press it down. Maybe it would have been easier if I hadn't put the rainbow there, but it worked out just fine. My trusty embossing powder again, which I like how I can use this little spoon to get it where I want it and not where I don't want it. And then I gotta heat up my old heat gun, and hopefully you can get a good view. It's a little choppy, but I don't know why. Maybe it won't be when you're playing it, but there it is, turning into beautiful shininess. So it says, happy birthday, there is no one like you. Really love that one, and just, yeah. Anyway, that's it for card number 8. On to card number 9. Again, I'm using that blue pattern paper and a strip of the light blue cardstock. Another strip of gold, of course. This time it's a 1/2 inch. And a lot of hearts. We have the chipboard heart, we have die cut hearts, we have the glittery gold sticker hearts. Yeah. This one's all about hearts, and I think this is another birthday card. Interesting. I didn't realize they were right next to each other in the order of filming and putting it together, but there it is. So I'm taking the blue and putting it on the top portion of the card. That's more than the 2/3, but yeah. And then I'm taking a strip of the blue to lay it down at the bottom. And my adhesive backed gold strip, I'm going to lay down there in between the two. Even there, it's pretty elegant. Yeah, it's very sticky, the adhesive, and it stuck to my finger. And I got it perfectly straight, and then it stuck to my finger. But then, I got it straight again. So, I think we're going to pull out the... So for this one I used Faded Jeans Distress Oxide. I thought it went pretty well with that darker blue in the pattern paper. And pulling out the Happy Birthday stamp again. And I'm just gonna use that die cut sentiment as a placeholder, which I like to do because I need to see it. And then I try to get it straight. So then I'm gonna glue this down. Maybe I could have glued that down first, but this is how I did it. So yeah, see how nicely those go together. Maybe they had the Distress Oxides out when they made this kit. I don't know, but they stamp pretty well too. So I absolutely love that largest heart, the floral heart. I'm going to nestle the stripy heart underneath it. Then I'm going to glue down the floral heart. It's like a burst of hearts cluster here. Lots of love in this card. So then I have I think that's the medium sized of the glitter hearts. Because they have 3 sizes in the glitter heart. Chipboard sticker says, love this, with a little bit of the gold. This is where I'm adding a little bit of wet glue just because of that glittery surface. Not sure if it's necessary. So this one is the die cut heart, so it's completely flat and it has slightly different finish on it. Gonna glue that down in the bottom left, and then I'm gonna put the glitter heart just over it. And that's it for card number 9. And we are on to card number 10, which again is, this might be tied for favorite with card number 8. And this one I had to just wing it. I didn't really plan it. I didn't plan it until I had the kit, which, man, my kit keeps coming later and later, this whole shipping thing, so that's why it's so late this month coming out. I only got it 2 days ago, or a day ago. So there was this light green pattern paper with the kind of wonky dots. It reminds me of snow, but it's really light, beautiful. I'm going to take the largest glitter heart and place it down, and then we have this chipboard sticker. It's a little typewriter with a gold hello. For this card I used Candied Apple Distress Oxide and then my VersaFine Onyx Black to do the stamping. And I have the Oh Hey There, the little envelope, and then the little I Miss You. So I've already stamped it out, as you can see, but I'm just showing you now how I arranged them on my paper. And I don't know if I would advise trimming it down first or not. I think that's what I did. I trimmed it down to the measurements 3 by 3/4 of an inch first, but whatever works for you. So I'm nestling, I did the Oh Hey There, then the envelope right next to it, and then I'm going to nestle this I Miss You kind of overlapping the envelope. That's how I did it, just like that. And of course I added the fishtail. So then I'm going to glue mine down here. And I kind of have to lift up that chipboard just slightly because I wanted to nestle it under there. I was like, oh yeah, there's adhesive on there. When it wants to stick well, it really sticks well. And do you see how I'm putting it crooked? Boy. But I fixed that, thankfully. So then there's this other chipboard sticker. I did try showing the hello one up close, but it didn't want to focus, so I cut that out. There it is, but you can see it here now. It's really lovely. That's card number 10. So this month there's a bonus card because, I don't know, I just wanted to. So I cut a card base out of the pink cardstock and I used the yellow pattern paper as a panel, and I used the dies in the kit. I made a couple kitties, and I did that off screen. We're going to use the You Are Sunshine, the Better Together, and for the kitties, I cut them out in the white cardstock that comes in the kit, and then I just used an alcohol marker to color the ears and eyes and nose. For the collars, and the bells, I just used scraps. Now for this hand, I'm trying to show how I reversed it. You can see here, it's backwards. And that's how I got the hand on the other side. But it didn't occur to me till I was filming this that my cat has 2 arms on one side of his body. Yes, you can kind of see it right here where he's sitting down there, which is a little odd. But it ends up not really being too noticeable because I tuck the Better Together. So, I don't know, if that really bothers you and you want to make this card, put his paw on the side that it's designed to be on. I think it's kind of funny, and I really got a kick out of it when I realized it. I'm like, oh no, my cat has 2 arms on the same side of his body, but like when the Better Together's down there, it doesn't look too bad, I think. And I kind of wanted them to be friends, you know, better together, that thing. So, let me know what you think in the comments, if you noticed it or not. And thanks for watching again. I hope you enjoyed, and I hope it brings some inspiration, some ideas, different things to try. If you don't have the kit, try these sketches with papers and things that you do have. Have a great day. Bye.